Hello, hello. Welcome from wherever you're watching this video. This is the day that the Lord has made, and let's be happy and rejoice in it. My name is Thomas. My friends call me Tomasi. I'm a peak performance trainer and coach. I have a short vid, and this episode I want us to consider taking responsibility. It may sound like it's an easy thing, but I want to tell you, this could be possibly the one thing that you need to hear to begin to create the meaningful life that you want. As I begin this talk, I'm reminded of what in management they say that you cannot control something. There's a maxim in management that says you cannot control that you do not measure. So if you want to talk about production, an increase in production, you got to come with figures. Say you're producing so many units, and we want to increase these units to this number. If you're a policeman on the road, a driver is over speeding, you got to confront this driver with the speed. You are doing at 120 and you're supposed to do at 80. That's the essence. And in our life is the same. You're not going to control your life. You're not going to change your life. You're not going to improve your life until you take responsibility. So this is profound. Welcome. To understand this, we begin by looking at two principles. The human mind is created in such a way we are always looking for pleasure. We go to places where we are praised, and nani kama Tomasi, you're a good fella. Those are the guys and places you want to go and hang out with. On the other hand, life again can't always be pleasurable. There will be some things don't turn out right. So come with pain, pain of failure, pain of frustration, and just like the physical pain, again, you also want to avoid the emotional pain. And to be able to avoid the emotional pain and the damage that it does, then the human mind has come with a repertoire, a whole toolbox of tools that we use to ride over this pain. And they will take the form of blaming. When your management, when your life is not doing well, when your marriage is in problems, a very nice tool would be the blame game. You blame the husband, you blame the wife. And I'm not saying there are no challenges. There are definitely challenges. But you see, you're not confronting the problem. The problem remains there. All you do is you begin to apportion. If you're not blaming, you're explaining. I'm experiencing this thing because of ABCD. I couldn't pass the exam because I didn't have a book. So you're explaining. The other one is you're giving excuses. Yes, I could have done it, except that I'm a woman, except that I'm too old, except that I'm too young. And all these gimmicks are actually there, and rightly so, to just preserve your psyche, to avoid the pain that you need to grow. They have said in sports, there is no gain without pain. And I can say the same thing. There's not going to be any growth in your life. And growth means change. And there's not going to be any change without some pain. You got to confront those demons. You got to say, the buck stops with me. Whatever it is happening in your life. If you lost a job, too bad about that. But you see, you cannot go around blaming the management, the guys who sacked you. Yes, they did that. And that is the end of it. So forget about that and tell yourself that you are jobless, and what you need to do is look for a job. It's not look for another person to tell the story of how you were sacked unfairly. It's not going to help you. In Kenya, this looks like our pastime. This is where we dwell in. We are always avoiding responsibility, and the same things that hurt us keep on going on. If you look at the Kenyan roads, there are places we have even called black spots. This is one country where you can have 3 or 4 accidents within the country, killing up to 12 people, and nothing happens. Why so? Because the drivers are not responsible. Nobody holds them to account. There are stories that run around in this country that certain places there are demons, and they can only be exorcised by the priests and the people of cloth. There's one story, especially from where I come from, a particular place that was notorious for accidents. And the story that was running around was that there is usually a very old lady who from nowhere happens to be crossing the road at a particular time. And you realize the driver just looks ahead, and all of a sudden there is this old lady who is crossing the road. And when they say old, it means she can't run. So the driver has to make a split-second decision, either to hit the lady and kill her instantly, or swerve the vehicle towards the right and possibly, crash into another vehicle, or towards the left and roll into the ditch. And they would do that, and there would be people who would die. And the story didn't stop there. It also says these accidents were they were engineered by the old woman who was actually a genie. And the main essence was that there would be an accident, people would die, there would be some spilling of blood, and that's what she wanted. She's a genie that sucks human blood. So she will cause an accident so that people can breed, so that she can have a meal. It sounds funny, doesn't it? But that's not funny. Even the church people would take the same story. It's not once they have gone to the roads to pray, and I'm not saying prayers don't work, but prayer cannot be the screwdriver for every problem we have. So they go to the roads and they're spilling the holy waters and praying and singing just to exercise so that the demon can go away and people might not die. But what happens? It continues until the Ministry of Transport through Kenya comes along and does a bump. And my friend, after the bump, for some reason, the old lady is no longer seen. There are no more accidents. What was that? Failing to take responsibility. And to the extent you keep on saying it is the demon, to the extent you keep on saying it is the road that has a curve, the road was slippery, the road is steep, you are absorbing the driver of any responsibility. He becomes a victim. If it is the old lady and the old lady is a genie, what would you expect the driver to do? If it's the road that is slippery, what do you expect the driver to do? And therefore, accidents continue unabated in this country because nobody takes responsibility. So much so for the country. What about your life? Are you having a problem about your job? Are you having a problem about your relationship? Have you gotten to sour graping? It's my wife, it's my husband. And I'm not saying they may not be the cause. But you know what? Until you say, I'm going to confront this problem, I'm going to look for an answer, I'm going to face it squarely, then until then, nothing changes. It doesn't help when you begin looking for stories and saying, my wife has taken after her mother. So what? You're not dealing with the mother. You're dealing with the wife. And you have taken the stories very far. I come from a region where young people drink their lives silly. they drink themselves to death. And what are our people telling them? Don't worry. You are not the problem. In actual fact, your name, Wanjohi, which means somebody who takes beer, is a testimony that you are a victim. In actual fact, you have taken after your grandfather. And the beauty about this fallacy is this Wanjohi has not only one grandfather. I'm sure there is a grandfather from the mother's side, and there is also a grandfather from the father's side. But for some tricky reason, they're only going to pick the grandfather who was drinking, who happens to be possibly from the father's side. And you are talking. It's like there is an incarnation. This is complete ignorance of self-awareness, and I think we should be looking at this thing in the next clip, because self-awareness tells us that you are an individual. Nobody like you has ever been here, nobody like you who is here, and possibly nobody like you will ever come this way. You're occupying a space and time unique to yourself. So your life experiences could be similar, but they are unique to the extent that is you. So the idea that your life is going to be influenced by people who died 100 years ago, like they're telling us now in the traditional wisdom, I want to say, be careful. I can't see your grandfather buying you beer today. I can't see him accompanying you to a pub. I can't see your grandfather lifting your hand and slapping your wife. My friend, if these things are going to improve, please let's take the bullet. Let's take responsibility. You're having your problem with your wife because of you and the way you relate with her. There may be similarities between your marriage and your grandfather or your neighbor, and that is normal. There are areas of commonality where we have traditions, where we have cultures. Yes. The culture of the Indian is not this, there'll be a way they behave in marriage, in reflection of their culture. There will be the Kikuyu culture. There will be a particular things we'll do that are particularly Kikuyu. But you cannot deny responsibility of the things that are affecting your life and apportion them to a distant grandfather who died 50 years ago. Nor can you continue drinking, hiding in the element that you're a victim. You're drinking because your grandfather or grandmother drank. So I have a challenge this evening. If you have a problem within your life, can you face it? Can you begin to look at it squarely in the face? Because there are so many people who can help you. But they can only help you if you put up your hand. They can only help you if you admit that you have a challenge. And that's where we are. Do you have a problem with your marriage? Do you have a problem with your children? Do you have a problem with your career? We have professionals in this country who can walk you through and help you reconstruct your life on a responsibility paradigm, where you take the driver's seat and you begin to negotiate your life responsibly to the success you want. I hope I'm talking to somebody today. And if that happens to be you, I want to challenge you and encourage you. Look for the problem, take responsibility, and begin to look for answers. If they are not within you, get people to help you. And there are many. Can we agree that we meet in the other side of this video? God keep you well. Take the courage, bite the bullet, change your life. You can do it. Yes, you can. God bless.